Good morning. Good morning. Here we are. Nice Monday morning. Wonder how you got up out the bed this morning like, oh man, here it is Monday, or yo, it's Monday. Let's get this party started. Let's get this party started, man. Good morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. I had a great weekend. I spent the weekend, man, with over about 300 families, man. I was down there at the stadium, man. It was packed. We had a great time, man. Just to see, you're going to see the pictures, you're going to see the videos, you're going to see the pictures, you're going to see all the things that we did this past weekend. It was phenomenal. If you missed it, you missed it. You missed it. It's sometimes there's things that happen. There's things you get invited to. There's opportunities you're going to have in life sometimes that when somebody tell you about it, if you don't have any understanding of it or any experience with it, you may not know. But the only way you will know is if you go. And so that's kind of how it was this weekend. Again, it was my 25th life camp that I've done for families. But I have to say, and all the response I've got so far, that it was by far the best one. The best. To have that over 300,000, you know what I'm saying? Like just the square footage, just to have that, it was amazing. See the families, man, in there racing, competing on the jumping houses, and I mean, with the football games, they was getting at it, golf, anything. Listen, you guys heard me over the last several months just keep talking about all the things they're going to experience. Well, they experienced it, and it even went way beyond that. I want to give a shout out to my professional player panel, who did a tremendous job. Current Jaguar player DJ Hayden Blair, linebacker, Mark Brunell. Man, Mark Brunell talked about the question I asked. I said, what's the best advice you was given as a parent? And what is the best advice you would give parents? Here's what he said. And out of all the feedback I got, this was the most powerful statement. It was so true. He said, in the Brunell household, he said, we practice first-time obedience. First-time obedience. And he said, what first-time obedience is that when I tell you to do something, when a parent tells you to do something, if it's not followed by a yes, sir, then we got a problem. If it's followed by, you know, a long pause or reasoning, what other thing you want to do instead of what I say, he said, we got a problem. And he said, there has to be consequences. He said, because if you don't teach a child first-time obedience when they're younger, then their perspective and their understanding of how to deal with parents and how to deal with authority can change, because they're always going to try to find something else to do. Now, here's the reason why that happens, though, okay? And so understand that first-time obedience is great, because it teaches them right away. If you say take out the trash, yes, sir, and go. If you say do this, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and go. If you don't have that, if you don't teach it early enough, then what's going to happen is when they get to a certain age, they start to reason things out. They're always going to find something else to do besides what you told them to do. And so here's one of the reasons why that happens, though, just so you know. It's not that kids just going crazy. What happens is you have you have your early years, okay, like 0 to about 10 or whatever. But then you have this period of time with kids, which is called the adolescence. That adolescence, by definition, adolescence means to break away. Adolescence means to break away. So what happens is at that phase, they're actually breaking away, okay? They're breaking away from the former stage that they were at. And what's happening inside of them physiologically, okay, is that before that age, they were just developed their subconscious mind. That means that they took in everything and they just did whatever the automatic pilot told them to do, whatever they were taught to do, they just did it. But when they start to get around 11 and 12, they start to develop this conscious mind, which develop their reasoning skills now. Around 11, okay, 10, 11, they start to develop their reasoning skills. And the reasoning skills are important because now they start to hear what you say, and then they start to think, okay, well, how does that impact me? And is this something that I want to do? See, it's not as much developed when they're before 10, not as much. But when it gets 11, it starts to really get developed, and then that's why that preteens and teenage years, parents start having this friction with their kids. It's not that they just want to be rebellious, but what they're doing is they're reasoning. And so here's the thing. Here's my question to you. Most people say, well, I just want my kids just to listen the first time. But here's what you got to remember. Begin with the end in mind. Know this. If I was to ask you, would you want to develop a child who is an independent thinker when they get older, a person who who don't just take in every single thing that's being told to them, don't just turn on the news and believe everything that they see, don't just turn on the radio and hear everything they hear. Just don't read stuff and everything that they read, they just take it in. Would you want to develop a child who actually sees that, but then actually interprets, how does this impact me? What do I truly believe? And then they make a decision. Is that what you want as your child when they get older? I will guarantee you that your answer is probably yes. You want to develop a child who is an independent thinker. You want to develop a child who understands that, you don't have to follow the crowd. You can do what you know is based off of how you feel, based off of your core values. And sometimes things may not line up with them. Well, guess what? At the age of 11, 12 and all that, that's where that skill set, that's where that component of their development is being made. And they just happen to be practicing it with you. And so what you got to do is we got to mold, okay? We got to kind of break that wheel and build that spirit. It's like breaking and molding that wheel. That means you're starting to shape it. So that way, as it's developing, you're not trying to kill it. You're just trying to shape it so that way it knows where and how to apply. You know what I'm saying? To be effective. Like I always tell people, being in the NFL, being on those in between those lines was amazing because it was probably one of the first places that a person can feel totally present, 100% present. And here's what I mean by that. That means that in between those lines on the field, you were 100% present, 100% physically present. That means every physical component about your body was needed in between that line. That every muscle, every tendon, everything, 100% physicality. In between those lines, when we played the games, we were 100% present mentally. That means we were always deciphering and game planning and comprehending and really trying to process things based off of how we wanted to win and how we wanted to defeat this opponent and our strategy. In between those lines, we were 100% emotionally present. That means that every emotion that you have, that a person has, was necessary. Everything from joy to excitement to hate to anger to fear to everything is accepted in between those lines to get you to produce. In between those lines, okay, spiritually, you're 100% there because you feel like you're part of a team, a bigger purpose. And so in between those lines, it's appropriate to have all that stuff. But outside of those lines, when guys leave the league, there isn't any one thing that gives that to them. It's not one thing that gives them that total amount of presence. And so I'm saying this because it's the same thing with the adolescent, same thing with the reasoning skills. Just like in between those lines, physically, it's accepted for all physicality, 100% physical. But outside those lines, it's not appropriate all the time. Like, for example, it's not okay to be 100% physical in the mall. You know what I mean? It ain't okay to be 100% emotional with your spouse or your significant other. You know what I'm saying? And so you got to understand there's a certain place for it. So again, just like I'm saying with the kids, you're molding, you're breaking where where it's hurtful in terms of where that attribute or that skill set or whatever that behavior is not appropriate, but you're also molding it and shaping it where it is. Okay. And so the same thing with the football, okay, with the physicality of the football and all that stuff, is appropriate place for that. So is the same thing for the adolescents of breaking and molding the wheel. You're making and molding the wheel, but you're building the spirit. Okay. And so just understand that, you know what I mean? And so again, we had a great, wonderful time this weekend. Like I said, if you missed it, you missed it. But I am going to be creating a Relive the Experience page where we're going to help post all the pictures, the videos, and everything from the whole experience. But again, I wanted to give that shout out to, my panel. Like I said, Mark Brunell, DJ Hayden, it was Blair, it was Mr. Artist Gilmore, Reggie Hayward, Paul Puzzlusny was on there as well. Like I said, we had an amazing panel. I couldn't say thank you enough. I want to thank some other former players who was out there as well. Big Mo Williams, Jaguars, Jamal Fudge was out there as well. My man Josh Evans was out out there as well. My man Mike Ryan, former Jaguar trainer, he was out there as well, team trainer. And so, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody. The mayor came out, Joseph Peppers came out. You know, we just had a full load of people. But again, I want to say thank you guys to you for sharing those messages and just helping get the word out. Next year, Mother's Day. Hey, bam, bam, bam. Mother's Day. That's going to be the next one, the next big one. Mother's Day Celebration Expo. Put it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar. Mother's Day Celebration Expo next year, May 2019. That's going to be our next big one. We're going to pack the house again. We're going to have it in the same place. It's going to be even larger than it was this year. So again, mothers and families is going to be coming out. We're going to be celebrating you guys as well. And so again, just put that on your calendars now, okay? Because we're going to need your support as we build up for that. But anyway, as we kind of transition, here we are. I wanted to share a quick message this morning about the power of your perspective. The power of your perspective. What is our perspective? Our perspective, in essence, is our view of our world. It's how we see things based off of our experiences, based off of our awareness, and based off of our understanding of things. That is our perspective. Everybody has their own perspective. You ever have a situation where somebody said something, okay, two people saw the same thing, but both people saw the same thing, but they actually experienced or can define it totally different. Same thing, somebody say something, and to you hear this. To another person, they hear that based off of your perspective. And so perspective is very key, because when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with especially teams and you're trying to do something together, whether it's a family, whether it's on your job, whether, even with yourself, right? Okay, we all have perspectives. And it's not until we understand the perspectives that we can sometimes really move things in the right direction, okay? That we can really move together where we're trying to go. Now, that component of perspective is important when we're working with other people, but it's also very much important, this is what I'm going to share about this morning, when you're working with yourself. You see, your perspective will determine what you do and what you won't do. Your perspective will determine whether you continue to push forward or whether you start to back up. Your perspective will determine whether or not you risk yourself, you put risk out there, or whether you retreat. Whether you invest or whether you just save. Whether you feel like you're winning or whether you feel like you're losing. Whether you feel like you're oppressed or whether you feel like you're liberated. Whether you feel like you're expanding in life or you feel like you're contracting. Whether you feel like you're comfortable or you're not comfortable. Your perspective, the way you see certain things. See, I oftentimes think about your perspective, and you hear me say it like sunglasses. You like sunglasses. Every time you look at something, every time you reason something, every time something happened to you, every time you hear something, every time you see something, every time you do, you're putting on your glasses, your perspective. And based off of what color they are, how dark they are, the tint they are, will determine what it is that you see, your filter. And so it's oftentimes when we go through life, we don't necessarily try to find out first what somebody else's perspective is. We typically just go by our own perspective, and that's how we live our life. Well, when it comes to yourself, the thing and the message I want to encourage you today is, as you look at your life and you establish your goals, you establish your dreams, you look at whatever it is you want to do in your life. My question to you is, what is your perspective in your life? How do you look at life? How do you look at the challenges you have in your life? How do you look at adversity? What is your perspective on adversity? How do you define it? See, because we're sitting here, and I may say the term adversity, and sometimes if I say this, I want you to think about the toughest adversity you went through in your life up to this point. If you can narrow it down, think about one. The toughest thing that you had to overcome in your life. And you overcame, and now you're here. Based off of your perspective of that will determine a lot of times how you perceive it, if you think it happened to you or if it happened for you. If you think that it was positive or negative, whether you think it advanced you or it held you back based off your perspective. Prime example, I often share my life and I share the different things that I went through. And I was up in New York last week when I did a conference, a professional development conference for the Syracuse University Public Safety and Emergency Response Department. And I shared with them, the fact that I went through divorce. And and I shared with them that I never thought about divorce. I never thought that I would be divorced or anything. Like, that wasn't my MO. But it happened. It happened. And so as I'm sharing with them, because I was talking about redefining their adversity, how you take all the adverse situations you've been through, the top 5, and on one side, you write the adversity. On the other side, you do what I call redefine it, right? Which is you say, in my wisest perspective, what was this thing trying to teach me? Or what did it teach me? Your perspective, right? And so in there, I'm sharing with them about my divorce. And I'm sharing with them a little bit about how I didn't plan. That's not what I thought, but I had to go through it. But then I shared with them that it wasn't until a couple years later, okay? It wasn't until several years later that I realized that, the impact and the power of that divorce situation, whereas where I felt like I grew. How I grew, where I gave myself permission to grow, how I advanced in some areas. I told him, I said, I truly believe that I may not be standing here before you right now if I did not go through that. If I did not go through that, I would not have really developed myself as a speaker and just in some of the things that I'm doing. Why? Because through that divorce, it gave me time by myself. It gave me time to really look into my purpose and really not focus on just being the husband or not just being the father right there 24/7, but really focus on, okay, Donovan, who are you? What are you here to do? What is the impact you're going to make? And then I got a chance to really drive hard into developing those things. You know what's so funny about that conference last week? We're talking about 360 perspective. My ex-wife, alumnus, was from Syracuse, which means her mom and dad is from Syracuse. At that conference, at that workshop, guess who I invited out and sat right there in the audience and sat right there at the table with the head of the organization? Her dad, my father-in-law, Mr. Charles Anderson. And as I'm sharing this story with everybody, he's hearing me talk about my growth and my development and how I was able to understand the power of the perspective. Understand I was able to redefine my adversity. And so here I am looking at this situation like, that could have been a very, very tough situation that I went through. But as you look at it from the power based off your perspective, see, it wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me and because of me. And I was able to grow from it to the point that I was able to go through it, out of it, and on to the next level. And now I don't have any harbor feelings. I was able to tell everybody about the love that, I have for my children and, and how me and my ex-wife and, we're all cool and everything is cool. Everything. Why? Because I was able to use a perspective and grow through it. Same thing for you. I don't know what your situation is or was or what not. But again, when you understand your perspective, what is your perspective on it? Because that's going to determine what it is that you do. You see, I want to give you two things real quick, that two quick little nuggets about to ask yourself when you're looking at your life and you're looking at different things in terms of trying to determine what is the perspective I want to take on this. And I shared one of it before, and it comes down to this. When you look at your life, the ability for you to say, the difference between the ability for you to say these two things. Number one, what I have to do versus what I get to do. What I have to do versus what I get to do. There's a physiological thing that happens when you tell yourself, I have to do this. Versus when you tell yourself, man, I get to do this. You see, just in me saying it alone, you'll see there's a different demeanor. Man, I have to do this. I have to eat right. I have to go to work. I have to take care of these kids. I got to do this. I got to come home after work. I got to work out. I have to do these things. See, when I determine something that I have to do it, there's a negative connotation that comes with it. There's an anchor, there's a resistance, there's a pulling, there's a burden that comes when I think I have to do it. Because it insinuates that that's not what you want to do. But when you get a chance to change your perspective, to say, not that I have to do this, but I get to do this, then it causes you to look at that situation and see what are the bright things in that situation. What are the things that you're able to do that somebody else may not be able to get to do? What are the benefits that you get a chance to experience that you may not got a chance to experience? What are the hidden gems in that situation that you may have just been overlooking because of your perspective? And so I remember I was thinking, when I used to play in the NFL all the time, remember? So I had, if I looked at it, man, I have to work out. It's 95 degrees. I have to pull this sled. I have to go to work. I have to go to training camp. I have to go out here and have a car crash every day. I have to run into these cats. I have to put my body on the line. I have to do this. I have to do that. Imagine if I walked through my career, 10 years, and I kept thinking about I have to do it, versus what I thought about when I was playing and practicing was not what I have to, but what I get to do. Wait a minute. Same situation, same person, same circumstances. But watch this. Not that I have to do it. I get to live a dream. I get to do something that less than 1% of the people in the world get to do. I get a chance to be on live television in front of millions of people and show forth my gifts and my talent. I get a chance to go down in the history books for doing something, and leaving a legacy for my children that they can be proud of. I get a chance to basically meet friends and develop relationships with guys, man, from all over the country, the best of the best. I get a chance to use this platform that I have as the NFL to impact people in my community. And just because of how good I was on the football field, it may open up some doors, and I get a chance to use that platform and help other people and help change some lives. I get a chance to do that. I get a chance to work for the NFL even when I'm done. I get a chance to be the vice president of the union. I get a chance to be, I get a chance to have my name on the jersey. I get a chance to have little cards, that people trade out. I get a chance for somebody to type in Google my name and things come up and be like, whoa, he did that. I get a chance to have a past that I can be proud of. Because of something that I did. I get a chance to see something that was very challenging and tough. And I get a chance to see a guy who made up his mind that no matter how tough it was, he was going to keep going. I get a chance to do that. Think about that. So in that situation right there, in which situation I have to do this or I get to do this, do you think fills me up? Do you think gives me the encouragement to move forward? Do you think gives me the momentum to see it from a right perspective, to see that it ain't happening to me, it's happening for me and because of me? I say the same thing to you. What areas of your life do you have to now transition and go from what you have to do to what you get to do? From what you have to do to what you get to do? What area is that for you? Is it your job? Is it your health? Is it drinking water? Is it taking care of yourself? Is it forgiving yourself? Is it letting go of the past? What is it? Whatever it is, the power of your perspective has everything to do with how you view it and in what direction you walk. You see, have to and get to are two different sides of the spectrum. Have to means at the end of the day, I'm about to give this thing up if I could. Get to means, guess what? I get a chance to do this, and I'm going to keep going as long as I desire to do it. And that ultimately, I'm in control of this. I'm in control of my perspective. I'm in control of the end results. I'm in control of the energy and the power and the insight and the attitude that I have and I take. So therefore, if I'm in control of those things, I'm in control of what I can control. And I'll let everything else be. But if I have to do this, I feel like a victim. I feel like it's happening to me. Oh, it's the man's fault. Oh, it's their fault. Oh, it's her fault. It's his fault. Oh, it's this. If only this. Man, shut up with that, please. I get to do this. I get to do this. What is it that you get to do? I want to ask you a question, and I want you to type it in. Before this conversation and during this conversation, what is the area that you have identified as when we turn in terms of looking at things from a different perspective? And what area of your life were you looking at things at first where you have to do something? And now after this conversation, what are you going to look at from a standpoint of what now you get to do? What is that? What is that area of your life? Feel free to share, okay, what that area is in your life. Remember, I told you, I don't ask you to write these things in comments just because I just want everybody to know. I do it so that way you can know. Because when you make the extra step to commit to writing, then it puts you accountable, but it also puts you accountable to yourself. Because now you're solidifying, this is it. This is it. How many great inventions and great ideas were just stuck in the head because nobody took action on it? But it's when you take action, when you put the pad to the pen to the pad, it's when you put those thumbs to the text, whatever it is. That's when you take the next step towards your progression. And so again, understanding that the power of your perspective is so key. As you walk throughout your day today, I encourage you, take a look at how are you looking at life? How are you looking at your actions? How are you looking at your responsibilities? How are you looking at the things that you're doing in your life? How are you looking at the people that you're around? Yeah, there may be some people in your life or in your job that they just feel like they're giving you a headache. You're like, oh, I have to deal with these people. You know what? Here's another way. You know, I get a chance to develop myself and my ability to handle crucial conversations. I get a chance to learn how to deal with people even when they're not at their best. I get a chance to go to another level in my communication skills. I get a chance to learn and apply empathy and compassion to a whole nother level that I may not have desired or anticipated or just signed up for at first. But I get a chance to do that. What area is that for you? Whatever it is, I challenge you today. I encourage you today, okay? I incentivize you today that as you do this and when you do this, your life will take on a whole nother level. I'm here at LA Fitness. I'm about to go in here and work out. I get a chance to work out today. There's somebody who is an amputee that wish they could. There's somebody who's went through some tremendous amount of hurt and pain and they wish they could. I get a chance to go in here and I get a chance to push some weights and develop muscles and tendons and health and wellness. I get a chance to get in the pool and I get a chance to get in the pool and float and swim and exercise. I get a chance to create a better health today. And then this afternoon, I get a chance to have a football camp for youth kids, a tackling camp today, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And so I'm giving myself I'm creating the energy that I want for later by working out now. I get a chance to do that. Will the workout be a little tough? Yes. But I get a chance to make it tough because I get a chance to take myself on a different level. So listen, what is that for you? I encourage you guys, man, have a wonderful day today. As you do it, look at your perspective, understand the power of your perspective. Do me a favor, post your comments. If you like this, definitely go ahead and like it. Post your comments around this. Subscribe to my allpromotivation.com website so that way you'll get alerts when as I'm launching my online network this summer. Okay, so allpromotivation.com. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel so you'll get things that I post up on YouTube. Okay, totally. You'll get it at your disposal. You'll get to hit the notifications so you'll know when I post something up there new. Again, as we walk this thing out. Listen, everybody have a great day today, man. Let me know how you know what you thought about this message and what spoke to you. You guys be good. Be great. Peace.